Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. When Dean Foods decided to end procurement contracts with 27 of its 28 Hoosier farmers, dairy experts worried about the ramifications. Some farmers were lucky enough to find new markets for their milk, others were not. My colleague Brock Turner joins us now.
Thanks, Joe. When farmers found out 3 months ago they were losing their Dean's contracts, many were optimistic they'd be able to sell their milk somewhere else. But the demand just isn't there anymore, and a lot of farmers are having to rethink their futures. John Claycamp says dairy farming is in his blood. He's been the owner of Lot Hill Dairy Farm in Jackson County for nearly 30 years. With his wife by his side, he's raised 4 kids and hundreds of cattle.
Those cows, they get breakfast first. And they get dinner first, and that's just the way it is.
Claycamp grew up on the farm. He and his father still work 7 days a week to ensure the cows are happy and healthy. He says there is nothing else he'd rather be doing.
Right or wrong, they always come first. Cows are out, cows having calves, cows need milk, and they need fed. That's just the way it is, and you do tend to put that before everything else.
This pasture in rural Jackson County was once home to more than 100 dairy cows. Now, Claycamp milks less than 40. The rising costs of feed and supplies paired with a decreased demand for milk has caused farmers like John across Indiana and the nation to cut the number of cows they milk. In 1975, the average American drank 8.5 ounces of liquid milk every day. Today, Americans drink about 5 ounces. Indiana Dairy Producers Executive Director Doug Lehman says farmers across Indiana will continue to be forced to make difficult decisions about their futures. Lehman was a dairy farmer for nearly 40 years. He raised his family on the farm. But in 2011, Lehman quit milking cows because the margins were too slim to support his family. He says it was the hardest decision of his life.
We got to be real about it, and life does go on after milking cows. I can attest to that myself. So there is life after milking cows. I want people to understand that too. We're not wanting anybody to have to get out, but some may have to make those tough decisions.
2 out of every 3 Indiana dairy farms have closed up shop since 1997. That year, there were nearly 3,000 dairy farms in Indiana. Today, there are less than 1,000, and the situation continues to get worse.
But we're all helpless at this time. There's not really anything I can personally do to come out and affect them getting a market. We can help with the communications, and that's what I'm trying to do. But we cannot force somebody to take them on as a customer.
It is unclear exactly why Dean Foods pulled contracts from nearly all Hoosier farmers. The company declined to comment for this story, but in a statement wrote increased competition and the introduction of new plants at a time when there is an industry-wide surplus of fluid milk, processing capacity forced us into this position. During what Dean Foods called a period of overproduction, the state recently celebrated the opening of another plant. This new Walmart facility in Fort Wayne is one of the largest in the country. Some former Dean Foods producers got contracts from Walmart, but not all of them. It's estimated that 6 producers in Indiana haven't found a new market. Claycamp is among them. He admits the easiest thing to do would be to sell his dairy farm, but he doesn't want to leave the industry he's dedicated his life to without putting up a fight. That's why every Saturday, he attends a local farmer's market in Seymour. He loads up his trailer and brings coolers filled with gelato, milk, and cheese.
How can I help you? I am sold out, thank you. We'll see you next week. The only thing I have left is pepper jack. I'm not Walmart. I don't need to make millions of dollars a year. I just want to make the farm payment, and that's it.
In the meantime, Claycamp will savor every moment he gets with his cows out on the pasture, and he'll keep fine-tuning his recipes. Folks debate whether his chocolate milk has too much chocolate or not enough. For now, he's going to stick with his current recipe. Dairy industry experts say additional processing facilities could ultimately help local farmers because raw, unprocessed milk can't travel very far. That might explain why Indiana's Economic Development Corporation and the city of Fort Wayne gave the Walmart facility $165 million in incentives and tax cuts to locate here. However, some dairy experts say it's a double-edged sword and that those incentives for Walmart forced Dean Foods to pull its procurement contracts.